Hey everybody, Jess Intuitive Angel Healer here with your Grounded. Thank you so much for joining our podcast today and welcome to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows, Finding Empowerment and Hope Through the Toxicity. This is a podcast that features an empowered soul swim through the toxic waters of life and how they found the courage, strength, and blind faith used to obtain the life they truly want to live, and how they encourage others to take that same leap of faith, no matter if they can only see the first two steps or not. Today, we have a special guest, Genesis Amaris Kemp, and she is from Houston, Texas, which is very close to where I was born. I was born in Abilene, Texas. She is a mentor, motivational speaker, and a minority advocate. She also is the author of Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace. So welcome to our show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me and for that beautiful introduction.
Thank you. I am so excited to share your whole journey and your book with everyone because I love what you stand for. And when I got your entry to be on the show, I was really moved because we need more people like yourself to, give a voice to those that don't have one. And being a woman, I understand the whole being slighted thing. And I've been in sales. I've been in the rat race with, trying to show a man that I'm better. Yours goes more deep into that than just scenarios. So without further ado, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, about your book, and a little bit about your journey.
Awesome. So I am a native Houstonian, first generation American. So my dad is from Curaçao, so close to Aruba and Bonaire, so the ABC Islands. And my mother is Caribbean, so she's from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the West Indies. I have been in Houston my whole entire life, so it's home to me. Hopefully one day I will get the opportunity to maybe relocate or explore some new territories. I love to travel. I am 29 years old. I am recently married, been married now for 2 years, but with my loving husband for 5 years. I am in the oil and gas and energy sector. I have 11 and a half years in the oil and energy sector. I stumbled across the industry by surprise. My first job was in real estate. My second job was working for a cancer center. And then when I got laid off, I just, you know, stumbled across oil and gas because it was the opportunity that was knocking at the time. And then I've been there ever since. I love to inspire and encourage not only just Black and Brown people, but those who have been slighted in their current career, whether it's corporate America or the medical industry, financial, construction, or whatever the case may be. I feel like we have all endured a point of our life where we have been slighted, whether it was due to favoritism, racism, sexism, ageism, or whatever the case may be. But I tell people, if you don't talk about it, how are you giving yourself justice or paving the way for other people who are coming besides, behind, and future generations to come? So I'm here today to be unapologetically me and to share a little bit more about my journey and how I got to where I am now.
Nice. I love it. I love how you stand for it because that's what I tell my clients too, is to be unapologetically you. Because you know what? Not everybody wants to hear my story. Not everyone even cares about it. But you know what? There is someone out there that needs to hear my story because they were in it. And so that is what I love when people like yourself decide to be brave enough. For one, it's hard to stand out there and actually, stand up for and be an advocate for other people because, then you have to be on the front line of it. And I've been on both. I've worked in the medical field for many, many years. And, patients need an advocate too, because I've had a lot of patients that have either learning disabilities or mental health. And I watch the way they're treated and I'm just like, wow, that is so unfair, the treatment, but I'm glad there's people like that stepped in there and go, I don't think so. This is not fair. Let's hear all about how this book got inspired.
The book Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace, it was actually birthed out of frustration. It came about one day whenever my supervisor gave me my performance feedback, which I didn't agree with because it was contradictory to the peer evaluations and the reviews that I got from my peers. So there was no alignment. And by the time that I voiced, my concerns, it was already too late to go back into the system. So I, pulled out my phone and I wrote down chocolate drop in corporate America, wrote about 3 sentences, and I had left it alone. But it was my way of getting my thoughts out of my head onto something where I could go back and reflect on it later on. And I believe reflection is so important, similar with feedback. And it wasn't until I met an author by the name of Tyra at a local church here in Houston. And I was just so moved by what she was doing with her life, the flexibility that she had, and etc. So we exchanged numbers, and I let a few weeks go by, and I reached out to her because something was just tugging at my heartstrings. And I was like, I need to reach out to Tyra. I need to learn more about what she does and how she does what she does. So we met up at Starbucks and I was asking her more information. We were really getting to know each other, and I call it our Mary and Elizabeth experience because it was in that conversation at that particular Starbucks where my book was birthed and ignited. And I knew it was confirmation from God that I needed to share my story, continue to be unapologetically me, and give other people the inspiration, motivation, and hope that they need to tell their own stories of what they have endured in corporate America as well as in other industries.
That is so amazing because that's one of my questions is what was your breaking moment that made you say enough is enough? And I would definitely say that moment was basically like I've had enough. And I've had those moments because I've worked at a call center. We used to get kudo calls, and nobody, like, they made a big deal about them, but I got a lot of kudo calls, and so everybody just acted like I made them up, but I didn't. I'm just, people wanted to say thank you because I'm helpy helperson so much. And so I got a lot of these, but then they would hand them to me with like their lunch on them. These are little like printed out awards, like thanks a bunch. And then when it came to everybody in my whole unit getting to the next little tiers, so they weren't in the call center no more, they told me, I don't know, they made up some reason why I wasn't chosen. I was like, so, like I understand that, and I don't understand why don't we just go to work and do our work and do what needs to be done? Why do we have to go to a girls and boys club every day? I felt like I was going to high school at some point, even in my medical job. So I was like, y'all gossip too much and we're not focusing on work here anymore. But when it comes down to it, all the gossipy gossipers are the ones that were getting promoted, and me over here, they were just laughing like, whoa, thanks for doing all of our work, and they would just pile on more while they moved up. So what keeps you inspired? What kept you inspired to write this book and really get it out there? Because we all say that, we want to write a book and we want to make this difference, but it's a difference of us saying we're going to do it and actually doing it. How did you get the inspiration to actually just go out there and get it published?
So it was actually my tribe, so the people who I have in my inner circle. So some of my really good friends, as well as, my parents, those were my inspiration because, they continue to push me, as well as, I inspired myself because I thought about where I was like 11 years ago, whenever, I wasn't really sure of who I was because I went through depression, and that depression came from being bullying in high school and etc. And, just looking back and seeing, life take its course and all the transitions that I went through, that was an inspiration in itself. My parents inspired me because, they came over to America to make a better life for themselves, and just seeing them have to work twice as hard due to the way their skin color looked and etc. I just didn't agree with that. So I wanted
Yeah.
to put something out there that, would have my name on it, and it would be a legacy for future generations to come. So that was another inspiration. And then, like I said, my friends were inspiration to me because they were pushing me, hey, write that book. You're such a good writer. And so all of those positive deposits were building up, like, my emotional bank, and that gave me the courage to keep on going because I had people that believed in me even on days when I didn't believe in myself. So it's so important to know who's in your tribe.
That is so true. And lately I've been watching documentaries. I found out the origin of Chinese food and General So chicken. And like they were all laughing when they went to China to find out who is this General So, and they found out like it's not even a real Chinese dish. It's actually American made Chinese dish. And what they did is, I think it was maybe, I'm not good at exact dates, but I know it was around the war era, like maybe Vietnam War area. But they came, and that's how they ended up like making friends, so they would get left alone because they were so hateful and mean. Americans were mean to the Chinese people because they don't understand. I feel a lot of people don't understand things that they don't, that aren't they're not accustomed to. So fear runs it. And but I thought it was interesting how General So chicken came, and now and so when you go over there and ask about it, they're like, we don't eat that. What is that? Because it's not even a part of their culture. But it kind of looks back on, there's so many things that I don't agree with that our ancestors have done. I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, that was definitely fear based, but I didn't. A lot of people don't understand this until you get that spiritual awakening. And some people I've learned aren't ready to receive that spiritual awakening either. So they just kind of, they smile and grin and pretend. And I feel like that's what a lot of our problem and, in our history has been, is people didn't face the fears that they didn't understand. If you didn't understand something, why couldn't we just have a conversation? I find it would have been much more easier. Those are my thoughts, anywho.
I completely agree. I feel like a lot of people don't ask questions, and I think questions are made to ask. So if you don't understand something, then you should ask the person, and you should have a healthy dialogue about it. And you can agree to disagree respectfully without hurting anyone's feelings. But if you don't understand someone else's culture or etc., it's all about educating yourself so you can be well versed. And that's where I think traveling is a very important aspect of life, because when you travel, across the world, you're able to submerge yourself in other people's culture. You're able to learn, okay, why they think the way they think and why they do what they do, because you see it and you have a little bit like firsthand experience.
Exactly. I very much agree on the traveling because I feel like America kind of lives in this little box and we don't see outside of it. And I'm sure you can agree with that, having parents from different countries. So I've gotten really interested lately on reading up on, I don't know, I'm an intuitive. We get different things, but I've been really studying up on just different cultures and all that. And it makes sense. I wish people would just have a little bit more open mindset, and we wouldn't have so many issues in the world. Because I am that person. If I don't understand something, I'll ask. And I've gotten yelled at, and I can see why some people get so mad because they don't half the time if somebody gets mad at you because you ask them something, it's because they don't know the answer and they feel foolish. And that's why I usually don't get a very good response from someone who's like that. But what does a daily self-care routine look like so you keep your mind, body, and soul balanced every day? Because that is so important, no matter if you're a holistic healer or you're in the corporate America. I feel like self-care is very important aspect.
So self-care for me, it would look like, waking up, showing gratitude for the day, going starting my day with prayer or praise music, whether it's gospel music or CHH, which is Christian hip hop, or some soul music. That's kind of the way I usher in my day and my presence. I like to start off with positive vibes on a high note, because starting off on a high note carries me throughout the day. Even if I have some low moments, I'll still be able to pick myself up. I journal throughout the day, whether it's writing a quick note in my phone from a thought that popped up in my head. I also take time for my family. That is a part of my self-care, is surrounding myself with people who I love and people where I could share my joy, and I could, feed off of their vibrations and energy to help me with my day. Also, having a time of silence throughout the day is what helps me, like putting my mind at ease, shutting off the world and society and all the things around me that are negative, that are producing negative energy. I just take some time to like kind of just woosah, whether it's taking a hot steamy shower in the morning or one at night, because I it's very important. Like when I wake up, I'm going to take a nice hot steamy shower to like refresh myself and rejuvenate. And then at nighttime, I want to take a nice hot steamy shower or a bath to relax and unwind and wash off all of the day's gunk and everything that has gone around me, so I can be fresh and I'm laying in my bed. And sometimes I'll read a devotional, or I'll read a scripture of the day, or anything that helps me calm down and get into my place of rest, and that feeling of like, ooh, the day is done. I'm closing it out, and I'm closing it out in a peaceful way so I can have a peaceful night's rest.
Nice. That is very important because when you go to bed with something on your mind, guess what? You're going to dream about it all night. Then you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to relive out that day. And so I try to always it's always important to let things go. Just clear your mind and clear your energy aura field. And taking a shower, most people don't know that if you're an empath, especially taking even putting your hand under warm water, running water for about 5 minutes, will transmute the negativity in you and help you have a clearer mind, basically. So you're not, because we pick up other people's emotions. At least I do when I walk in a room. I can feel the whole room. And if someone's not right, I could feel that too. So,
Yeah, and breathing is so important. Just
yes.
taking deep breaths and listening to music that speaks to you is very important too.
And I find it's very important what you watch on
Yes.
TV, because I am very sensitive to TV. I can't watch I used to could watch anything, and now I'm like, if it has too much vulgar stuff, I can't do it. It drives me insane. And then I don't know what's wrong with our apps, our movie apps, but somebody made a picture and it was kind of funny. They said, "Oh, look, Netflix, horror movies or Christmas." Like that. Those are the two choices. And I actually canceled my Netflix because of that. I was like, literally, I get one good movie, and then the rest is like, what demon came and sat on my TV and gave me all this horrible stuff to watch. I don't know what has happened to it. Anywho, how has working with survivors of the toxic shadows impacted your journey as an educator? Because I know writing this book changes a whole thing, because when you get a book published, that changes the game a lot. How has this impacted your views and everything on, it has to be awesome.
Just hearing other people's stories and being able to have healthy discussions, the ability to network with people who are, wanting the same things out of life, and being able to learn and grow from one another is an impact in itself. Because I feel like once we get outside of our comfort zone and we surround ourselves with people who are going places in life, that is an impact, because seeing someone else succeed is, a it's a challenge because you may not be where they are, but it challenges you to work harder to get to where you want to go. And also being able to surround yourself with people who can be unapologetically them and give you feedback is a accomplishment as well as an impact, because feedback is a gift. So you take what applies to you and you grow and build upon it. And then whatever doesn't apply for you, you still thank the individual that they cared enough to impart wisdom and knowledge and education to you. And then you store it away for maybe a different season in your life, because we're all going through various seasons at various points in our life. So we have to take what applies to us and work with it, and what doesn't, you just store it away and put it in your Rolodex until an opportunity comes up where you're able to seize it. So I think there's all types of impacts around, and just being able to support women and come together versus being in competition with one another is an impact as well.
What do you do in your community?
So I support a podcast that's based in Jamaica. It's called Talk Truth Series, and she's a woman author. And we met on Facebook and we just really hit it off. So whenever she can't host her own podcast, I'll fill in as an interim co-host, and I'll host and interview different authors or whoever else she has lined up for her show at that time.
That's fun. Now, are you working on a second book?
I'm thinking about it. I recently lost my dad on November 25th,
Oh,
so it
I'm really
has
sorry to
been,
hear that.
thank you. It's still fresh and it happened, suddenly, and him and I were going to work on a writing project together. So now I'm just thinking about, okay, do I want to make a part 2 for my book, since things have transpired since my book came out. Like, I got a 20% increase. Then I was also informed yesterday that I was going to be laid off in February. So a lot has, happened. And then, losing my dad, who has been like my everything, didn't help
That's
either.
No, that is not fun, and I'm sorry to hear that because I lost my dad when I was 16, so I fully understand, but so close to Thanksgiving, I'm really sorry to hear that. I know that's not something that can even help you with, but my heart goes out to you. I hope I hope that maybe, as a writer, I find that we creatively collect our pain and share it with the world that way. So maybe that is an idea for you to share with the world your dad's beautiful spirit. You can write a book and it can be centered around him and kind of like a tributary. So maybe we'll see that from you. You never know. But I really hope, I wish you love and light in your grief process. So,
Thank you so much.
what advice or guidance do you have for our audience and fellow survivors of toxic relationships that are, because we always, this is all about our victory stories, how we got over it, but what is your advice to the ones that are still in it that need to find higher ground?
So I would definitely tell people, even though you may be in a toxic situation right now, know that that is not a permanent place and you are called to higher, but you have to be willing to submit to that higher calling. And you have to see yourself in the light that you want to go, and stop letting people and negative energy and forces tell you who you aren't, and start with your I am statements and recite all the positive things about yourself and what you have to look forward to. And if you need to, create a vision board, whether it's cutting out pictures or whether you do it digitally, where you cut out slogans and you paste them in Word, or you paste pictures of places you want to go. Write the vision and make it plain, so you have something that is tangible and you have something that you can look forward to obtaining, so you can channel your energy in a positive direction. I would also encourage those in toxic relationships is, whenever you hear people tell you no, don't let no be a limiting factor or a barrier. Just think about no as new opening or next opportunity, and allow that to stimulate you, to drive you to a position where you want to exercise, you want to, take care of yourself, you want to eat properly, and you want to be all that you were created to be. And that is going to come from when you really know who you are and not what you are.
Exactly. That is so true. I love your spirit, and I love that you're out there, helping, giving a voice. That's the name of your episode here, giving a voice to the survivors of the toxic shadows, because a lot of people, they're not brave enough to step up, and we do need more advocates out there. And that's kind of, I'm an indigo child, and I don't know if you've ever heard that terminology, but in the spiritual world, it is basically my journey here is to be like Robin Hood and make the wrongs right. And I've noticed that my whole life, that I've always been like that. I've always been a loner, but like if someone was getting picked on, I was the one that would step up and just dismantle everyone and take them, and we'd walk off, because I've always been that person. But I find it's very important to walk in your purpose, and I definitely feel you have a purpose to share. Where can our listeners reach you if they would like to get more information about your book, or they'd like to just chat with you?
So I am on Facebook as Genesis Amaris Kemp. So that's Genesis Amaris, Amaris Kemp, Kemp. I have a author/book page as Chocolate Drop in Corporate America. I'm also available via email at genesisamarisKemp@gmail.com. My book is available on Amazon as for the paperback is $13, so the price we pay for 2 coffees at Starbucks, 2 coffees at Dunkin' Donuts, or a fast food meal. And I have a Kindle version that is available for $2.99 as well. And one thing I definitely want to tell the listeners as well as those who may be watching the replay is, whenever you think about the name of our episode, giving a voice to survivors of the toxic shadows, you have to ask yourself, what voice are you listening to? And is that voice influencing you to do better? Or is that voice causing you to retract and go back into your hole and your space of comfortable? And if that voice is causing you to retract, that's not the voice that you should be listening to. You should be listening to the voice that makes you scared, the voice that makes you want to, run and push past where you are, the voice that will give you the ability to be fearless. Because when you think about fear, it really stands for false evidence appearing real. And that's causing you to be in a limited mindset and causing you to retrieve and retract to a place that will keep you in bondage, when in reality, none of us are meant to be in bondage. That's why, as society keeps changing and the world keeps evolving, we must evolve as human beings, and we must, run and adapt to a higher calling.
I
So
love
times are changing, technology is changing, phones are getting more advanced. So if you're not advancing with the times, then are you just living or are you existing?
I love it. I love your whole message. And since you do have your book on hand, do you have a little passage you would like to send us off with?
Oh, yeah, sure. I will read a quote from my reflection section. So I have a reflection part in the book. It's called Reflection Quotes. And there's a few quotes because I definitely want the readers to take time to reflect on what I have said in the book. So, one thing that said, it says, some people don't want you to succeed and will do whatever they can to keep you down. When you recognize that person or company does not have your best interests at heart, start making moves to find something that is a better fit. That's one quote. And I'll pick one more. Oh, this is a perfect one. Stop waiting for someone to co sign your dreams. Start running with passion. In time, the right people who genuinely care and want to support you will fall into place.
Yes. I love it. And you got to go pick up her book, Genesis book,
Da, da, da,
Chocolate
da,
Drop in
da.
America. Help support another fellow writer out in the world. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. You have a beautiful message, and I wish you a lot of success on your journey.
Thank you so much, Jess. And it's been a pleasure to virtually meet you. And I'm so glad that we were able to have this conversation because, like I said, we are better when we come together and when we support one another.
That is so true. I am totally with you. And when you come up with a new book, we'll bring you back and have you share it.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, beautiful souls. Another powerful guest that has learned how to survive their swim in the toxic shadows and break up with their toxic dance partner, fear. If you need help trying to find a new dance partner, please reach out to myself or Genesis on the show today and let us show you how a single four-letter word can change your whole mindset. And that four-letter word is love. With love, all things are possible. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dancing in the Toxic Shadows. Until we meet again, this is Jess Intuitive Angel Healer sending healing angel vibes. Love and light, everybody.